Well, good afternoon and welcome back to the URC Fishbowl. I'm Vanessa Gomez Brake, the Associate Dean of Religious and Spiritual Life here at USC. And as we come together today, I'm reminded not only is it Native American Heritage Month, it's also Dia de los Muertos. And so, in honor of honoring our ancestors and those who came before us, of course, I want to offer a brief land acknowledgement as well as tell you a bit more about what we're up to here today. So, as we come together on what I consider an auspicious time as well as place, we here at USC acknowledge that our campus and our city are located on historical Tambagar land, the land of the indigenous communities of the Los Angeles Basin, as well as for the Chumash and the Quiche and so many other nations. And so let us take this moment to pay our respects and gratefully acknowledge the Native peoples on whose ancestral homelands we gather, as well as the diverse and vibrant Native communities who make their home here today. They have stewarded this sacred land throughout the generations, and we honor their traditions, identities, and stories, which are far too often ignored and erased. And the truth is, when I invited Mato to speak today, I wasn't thinking, oh, he needs to kick off Native American, Heritage Month. I was just thinking, he just needs to come back to campus so I could see him. Because the truth is, and I'm jumping ahead, but I'll introduce him more formally. But Mato, Standing Soldier, was poised to be our baccalaureate speaker for graduation in 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020. And the truth is, there were so many sad things that year. And one of the saddest things was, and forgive me, Mato, I tuned in for your graduation and I could not even share a word because I was in so many tears over what your graduation ceremony represented. Not only the celebration of your graduation, but also the loss of what many of us had at that time. We didn't get to have a graduation. And I just remember tuning in via Zoom like we were all doing that year and really being so touched by this simple ritual you, your parents, your family put together. You even mocked up a graduate degree and with a Post-it note with his name on it. It was the cutest thing. And so anyhow, I'm really delighted to have Mato back on campus so that we can hear from him in a more extended format about all the things he wants to share with us about, what matters to him and why. And so this speaker series does represent a creative solution to an important problem for our university setting. So often, the separation of our intellectual life from our personal and our spiritual lives. So what matters to me and why offers us Trojans and our Trojan family an opportunity to hear from faculty, administrators, and even alumni in a very different way. Because I knew Mato as a student, but I don't know Mato's journey to where he is today, right? There's so many things that get us to where we are. So rather than lecturing to us necessarily on research or other things, we invite speakers to come in and just share their journey with us. So once a month during this Wednesday lunch hour, we get to listen in as they reflect on their values, their beliefs, and their motivations that have shaped their lives. And this school year marks the 25th anniversary of this speaker series. Yeah, it predates me here, it predates my boss here. It has been going on for a long while. And so we decided to go all out by bringing you truly the all-stars of the Trojan family. And so before I introduce our guest speaker, I do want to highlight just a few things going on campus this month so that you can come back to the Religious Center more often. So next Thursday, we're partnering with Assignment Earth, or the Sustainability Center, as well as the LGBTQ Plus Center, to offer Donate, Paint, and Propagate. It's a queer affirming space led by one of our favorites, Arjun. And so not only will there be paint, but there will be storytelling and there will be plans so you can come to this affirming space just to really care for yourself and be in community with others. And then the following week on Tuesday, November 14th, we have our usual vegan Jubilee Cafe here in the courtyard. But additionally, we're going to have this Jubilee comedy which will feature different up-and-coming comedians as well as comedy troupes right here in the courtyard. After that, the Thornton Music School will be hosting a concert in the courtyard at 2:30. And so why even leave the US? You can be here all day and really enjoy so many delightful things here. And of course, I want to invite you all to USC's Native American Heritage Month celebration, which will occur on Wednesday, November 15th. And that's going to be on Palm Plaza from 12 to 1:30. So I hope to see you all there celebrate. All right, now the moment we've all been waiting for. Mato Wayuhi is an Oglala Lakota artist originally from South Dakota. He works in both film and TV as a producer and musical composer, as well as writing his own music. And most notably, Mato is a composer for the award-winning FX Hulu series Reservation Dogs. Can I get hands up? How many people watch Reservation Dogs? Yes, yes, yes. He was also in a few episodes this final season, and so that was a delight to see. Additionally, he composed music for the feature-length film War Pony, which won the Camera de Oro Prize at the 2022 Cannes Film Festival. I can't even say that. And yes, Forbes in this year considered him 30 under 30 list for the Hollywood and Entertainment list. So he is one of the featured people on that list. So there's a lot to know about Mato, but truthfully, I know him as a USC student, a student of the School of Cinematic Arts, as well as the past president of our Native American Student Union, which is now our Native American Student Assembly. And before we had the Native Lounge at the Student Union, we had a Native hangout here in the University Religious Center. So us here at the Office of Religious and Spiritual Life are really delighted to bring him back to campus. And please join me in welcoming Mato to the stage.
Hello, hello. Wow. Cool. I have so many memories here. First and foremost, thank you all for coming out, and I hope you got to feed yourselves and talk amongst one another. Yeah, I'm really grateful to be back on campus. I've been back a few times since that faithful day. It was like probably early March 2020 when, we all got sent back. And yeah, so there's so much to talk about, but part of what I wanted to unpack today, like I really asked myself that question, what matters to me most and why? And I thought, well, I make art because I don't like to try to articulate myself through words necessarily as much as sound. And I'm sure all the artists in here can relate to that in terms of like, well, I can't make you feel how this color makes me feel unless I just paint it. And so I figured what would be kind of fun today is to play a few songs throughout my discography, and then we can just kind of unpack that as like a whole squad and everything. And I really went through the whole Rolodex of all my past music. But yeah, a little bit about me, first and foremost is, so I'm Oglala Lakota, and my family's from Pine Ridge, South Dakota. And I grew up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is on like the eastern side of the state. And I was a pretty normal child, very fidgety, very hyper, very loving. My name means bear in Lakota, and I loved to cuddle when I was a baby. And so, I was very easygoing, I think, for the most part, in terms of like the order of the siblings that I have. I have two older sisters, and so I think I was like the most just passive and easygoing, pacified a little bit too. But so that was kind of my upbringing. And with music, I didn't really establish a relationship with art concretely until later in life. But for me, like something I've learned since growing up is a lot of like within Native culture, and really I think any global culture, just indigenous culture in general, is that there's not really a delineation between music and culture. Kind of all the same thing. So I'd be going to sweat lodges growing up, or going to Uwipis, these different ceremonies within Lakota culture, and we would sing, and it wasn't really like, all right, give it up for the band. It was just like we were all congregating to make sound and to make music, and a lot of those, the teachings are within the songs. There's the pipe filling songs and stuff like that, and so it never felt really like there was a dichotomy between the two. So that's a lot of what gave me my chops. That said, I loved rap music, and you're not rapping in a sweat lodge typically. Maybe the ones in Malibu or something, but yeah. So I really fell in love with hip hop and rap music, and I figured how we could go about today is I'll like play a song and kind of like go through it a little bit. But I wrote this song. I'm gonna play this song I released in 2016. So I just got here. I wrote it actually. I looked it up. I wrote it November 3rd, 2016, so it was like kind of weirdly, like oddly timely in terms of where we're at right now. Like, and I wrote it, I had a class in the School of Dramatic Arts, so it's just like, picture me, okay? So I'm 18, I had like bleached hair, it's colorful, vibrant, and I'm in class, I'm in a GSEM, is that what they're called? General Seminar? Yeah, and I had just discovered the drug of caffeine. And so there's a Keurig machine in the little classroom. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. It was like a glass mug. I felt really bougie. It was really cool. And so I drink that, and I am out of my fucking mind. I'm just like, oh my God. So we finished class. I'm like, ooh, I feel so good. And then there's this instrumental I had on my phone, and I was just overtaken by just creative ambition. So I couldn't even make it back to my dorm. I just sat like by the Bing Theater in Norris, right by that fountain, and I just sat there like manically writing this song, which is called Wildberry Pop-Tart. So I'm gonna play it and then we can talk about it.
I've been live from Kanye's last name, still the same in my frame. But fuck it, I'm thinking of staying. You thought I was destined to dwindle in statistics of my people. I will admit I fall crippled to the call of that liquor nipple. Lick up the dry gin makes my mind sin, cry. Not enough to give it, so I stay bona fide. Overdose, digging in on women races of all kinds. Tasting races I could never find in my native place, but I'm representing all I own for the throne. If Chrome takes my dome, no, I did this so Columbus will give me back my home. An act for matter of fact, rapping wisdom past his age. A slave for grabbing ass, damn, I'm stuck in my ways. Edges roughing since the feathers rough with pencil summon. What's chemicals flustered in that head muscle? I ain't staying subtle, spitting more than stellar, stabbing stigmas, no rebuttals. I'm grown, mama, look, I got some stubble. No longer in adolescence, so long to my past offenses. I'm looking for mass redemption. Can someone please pass the message on to uncles and aunts? Daunting ain't what we do. Accomplishing is on the cusp, yeah. I'm about to bring in bougie business to the reservation. Ain't nothing worse than an Indian with an education. Just waiting, finna get the wasting so I can attract masses and attack my magic through the blasted bass. And then, well, we'll see what happens. What's the penny stash and pays off? We'll get this shit fucking cracking.
There's a second half, but we can just omit that. So yeah, that was called Wildberry Pop-Tart, and I wrote that very spiritedly right over there near the water fountain. And yeah, I think why I wanted to play that song is because part of my becoming, I guess, was finding what mattered to me most. And I think within just my own upbringing, I grew up with my Lakota culture, and I was really grateful to do that. And a little bit of my background too is that my dad is from Pine Ridge, and my mom is from St. Paul, Minnesota. And her father, my grandfather, on my mom's side, is originally from Paris, and he is a Holocaust survivor. And so I grew up with these kind of dual histories of a lot of persecution and a lot of genocidal trauma, generational trauma. And I think the moment I gravitated to music, it was like, I had a vocation. I was like, okay, cool, this is gonna be what I can talk about. Because there's this rap group called Flatbush Zombies, and they have this song, and one of the the rapper's Eric Arc Elliott, he has this line, he says, I was a fan of rap before I was a fan of being black. And that always resonated with me because I was like, man, I dealt with so much internalized racism growing up in the Midwest, and anyone who's from there can probably attest to that. There's a lot of microaggressions, and there's still, you think about the people who are there now. A lot of them are descendants of those battles and those the scrutiny and everything like that. And so growing up with that kind of mixed, literally mixed, and also just like figuratively like mixed identity of self and pride and all of these different things. And so with music, I really found a lot of my calling, which was like that racial component. And so, and the cultural component. So you can hear it in that, I'm very bona fide and talking about, what I hope to claim within my music and everything like that, and with the braggadocio of making hip hop. And so, that song was really fun, and it's cool too. It's very emblematic of who I was at that time, being 18 and just getting to LA. I'd never been to LA before, so that was the first time I was here. And there's a lot of learning curves. I was really out of my element for a while. Like going to a town of like 100,000 to 100 million or however many are here. Very, very intimidating. But that song, I recorded it at my buddy's place in Culver City, who I had just met recently. So that was a really cool thing. It was like very a moment where I could really like reconcile with a lot of my cultural identity, and that kind of set the precedent for where I was going. And around that same time, I got involved with the Native Student Union, and we met right in that room over there. And it was during Standing Rock too. So it was a lot of, it was just a contentious time, but it was also a time to unite, which was really cool. So I was really grateful to become a part of the Native Student Union in that time period. And when people ask me about my time at USC, I'm like, how did you like college? And I was like, man, I really wrung it dry is the best way to put it. Like I wanted to do everything and anything. So like that was a lot of my involvement within the school. And so, with that, I think I made that song when I was 18. I was like, okay, cool. Like I feel like I tapped into that. What matters to me most is like that, I am the dude. Like I am the next aim. I am fist up, going strong. But then I think that was a little bit of a red herring in a way, because I don't know if I really felt super confided in that to be the expectation of what maybe a Native man is, or a Native artist is, or a Native rapper is. And so the next song I'm going to play, it'll be kind of a two-parter, it'll kind of fade into one another, is off of my first album. It's called Part-Time Indian. And that album, I guess it's a little self-explanatory in terms of the title, but that's where I really tapped into something that I thought gave me a little more verisimilitude when it comes to like my craft and everything like that. And so I'm just gonna play these two songs called Gravel, and it's gonna fade into Part-Time Indian. Also, I'm a nerd. Oh, did this go off? Oh. I love the drums in these songs. They're really weird. That's why I wanted to play them too. Sorry, so listen to the drums. They're very strange. They just turned the petty up. Nice.
Gravel be fucking up my path, ripping up all my rubber slashed. Travel is also tough at last. When these pebbles crack a shoulder, wonder if the window bring change or sing another season in the same key. Breath be seized by the melody, melanin half and half like some cream. Yes, honesty be the policy, that's facts. Never dream of fit, but matter of fact, can't let the ground gravel, get me off the map. Pocahontas with the looks and appeal. Making buku off of peoples of those who paying to see my race sold on a jersey and sold. But can't find my goals. I'm still not a human being. Still shit that you're not seeing. Women are missing and done away with. Justice so heavy like Adam Ramps. He rode on the gravel by foreign lands. Purple heart pinned on his lens, got him feeling so proud. Then the bar, no red, no dogs, no Indians allowed. Hey, hey, oh, oh. Took off his medal and threw it, then drowned in the liquor for decades. He knew he was rubbing the gravel that got him and ripped up his spirit. But that's how they want him. All guns get glued. They ask why I'm driven and brash and offensive. It's cause we got scars. You try to keep hidden in history. Vividly written and rid off these enemies. Gravel I've written for centuries.
This mascot issue goes deeper. It's one of the deepest rooted issues that we have that goes back to the historical trauma. When on the Thursday, I was in the back because I'm still in the
We've been rocking for a long time. We've been rocking for a long time. We've been rocking for a long time. We've been rocking for a long time.
It's weird too, like, I think I was playing minor chords and I'm playing major chords, but I didn't change like the key or anything. Isn't that interesting?
We've been rocking for a long time.
Huh?
Sounds like you quote as hella smooth.
Hella smooth?
Hella smooth.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That's a pretty fucking fast year for what? I feel Indian, but only part-time. That's a pretty fucking fast year for what? I feel Indian, but only part-time. Only part-time.
Like she is trying to sleep, so don't make a peep. Gonna get back it straight. Gonna be okay. Like she is trying to sleep, so don't make a peep. Gonna get back it straight. Gonna beat it today. Oh, let she go to sleep. Oh.
Mato, it's okay. I'm just returning your call. I appreciate what you said, and I appreciate the energy you sent my way. And I kind of have more faith in the young people's energy, because you guys are just starting out and you're doing it from your heart, you know. So I appreciate that, and I gotta go pick up the little one, but I should be around. I usually go to read it from 7 to 9, so that's why I'm usually at home. But I appreciate everything you're thinking, the feeling, and you know, whatever good energy you can send my way. It's not like a negative thing. It's just something we go through in life. So thank you, and I appreciate that, and I love you.
been with this shit.
Okay, that's enough of that. So yeah, that I played that because I was I got to this kind of this revelatory aspect of my music, which was like, okay, I don't need to be this expectation of who like a native artist is, or who I think a native artist is, or maybe what has been bestowed upon me by the outside lenses, And so I was kind of like, well, I just need to be honest, and so I was really fortunate to be able to make that album because it to me it laid kind of the declaration for how I would approach all art after that point, which was just I'm just going to always be honest. Any sort of cultural expression will come from a place of honesty. It won't come from a place of what I think people will expect, which created this really nice like fluency for me within what I write about and everything, because it just kind of let myself be free a little bit. It was very liberating. I remember when I came out too, I was on my way to school actually, but my junior year of college, and the record just came out. I was feeling good. Ooh, I was feeling nice. Had like blonde hair again, recurring pattern. And I remember I got this message from someone who I didn't directly go to high school with, but they went to another school, and he's half Syrian, half white. And he messaged me, and he's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like your album really connected to me." And I really felt validated for you talking about that. And I was just like so puzzled because I was like, wow, you are not the intended audience. But like, I am so stoked for you that you feel that way. And that also really was identifying to me. It's like, oh, this is bigger than me, and these types of like, no one feels completely themselves all the time. And it was really cool for me to lay claim to that at a young age. I think I was 20 at the time. And that album to me, I hold a special place in my heart too, because it kind of was my entryway into like, I guess, arts that are outside of myself a little bit. It was kind of like my opening, it was like my thesis statement a little bit. Like, this is what I'm going to talk about. We got some writers in here, so y'all know what I'm talking about, the thesis statement. Oh, I hated writing essays. I was just breaking down with him a little bit. I was like walking through campus, my buddy DA. Where I was like, yeah, like all-nighter in that building, all-nighter in that building, blah, blah, blah. I wrote so many essays in there. But yeah, so, and that record would kind of inherently get me my job with Reservation Dogs, 3 years after the fact, because I released a music video in conjunction with this record, and it's it's online. You can look it up. It's Stone Cold Lover. But that music video got me the job years later, which was such a great lesson for me, because it was if I didn't get to that point of what matters to me most and why, which is this degree of truth-telling, then I wouldn't have, been able to do that, and I wouldn't, have the access and also just like the experience of collaborating with these beautiful artists around the world and everything like that. And so that was a really cool moment for me. And so, yeah, that was Gravel. And that song specifically is about my grandpa coming back from the Korean War. And I think a lot of veterans and a lot of Native veterans and Black veterans and brown veterans and really mostly who they put out to die on the battlefield, not to get political, but they would come back home and then they would deal with the same racial segregation that they're presumably, fighting for. So it was very weird. So that mixed emotion I got to unpack a little bit in that song. And then Parts I'm Indian, it leads into the title track of the whole album. And now when I'm talking about my uncle, my Lakshi in Lakota, which is a great segue, which I didn't even know would be a segue, but here we go. So I talk about him and my uncle who passed, and something with language was important to me within this next chapter that we're about to play right now. So now, let's see, it's 2020. Everything has been taken away, right? It's all stripped back. Vanessa really poignantly told that story. That was so sad. For context too, my sister graduated college a couple years before me, so I just took her diploma and I just put my name on it and showed the Zoom and everything. So we were there July 2020. I was back in LA, and it was just mayhem. Nothing was going right and everything. And so for me, I'm really grateful. One of my remedies was to go deep into music, just really go deep into music. Because everything, yeah, I had a job lined up that was taken away, and student loans were just creeping. And so, yeah, it was like a really dynamic time. We all remember it very clearly. And so for me, I went inward and I made music a little fantastically too, and that was the truth that I needed at that time. But from a Lakota perspective, well, we'll play the song and then we can talk about it a little bit. But yeah, this song is called Constellations. This is like, ooh, one of my favorites. You'll hear a flute, a distant flute in the background, caressing you and coddling you as you go through this. And I want you to think of that man right there with his lips on a long tubular flute playing, what he did. But yeah, he's an amazing artist. I'll tell you more about him later on. But yeah, this is called Constellations.
Eyes closed so hard. I'm seeing constellations, and the sheets be the fragrance of remember when, remember when, remember when, remember when. Chilaquiles at 3 a.m. Love making, wearing just an apron.
Okay, so how are we?
Young and old at the same time.
But how did you?
Run that ball from the baseline. Whoa, we were trapped inside too many sunny days, working 9 to 5 for bummy wage. Send some money home to mommy's way, 'cause her son is fuckboy tendencies. Raised by no father, so dollars might figure. Dumb good figure. I look up to you, so you seem big. Eyes closed so hard. I'm seeing constellations over again. And the sheets be the fragrance of remember when, remember when, remember when, remember when. Eyes closed so hard. I'm seeing constellations, and the sheets be the fragrance of remember when, remember when, remember when, remember when. You can keep me on the side like the breeze of the chicken. You can keep me on the side like the streets you can't visit. But when I'm on the rise, I'll be changing my digits. And so I hold both the thighs, and like Moses, I'm splitting. Yo, I wrote you a little rhyme, and I hope that you get it. 'Cause most people that inspire me don't ever listen. 'Cause they read it in the sky, or they post for the pictures. 'Cause they smile don't arrive if they gain in the mentions. But keep me up in your mind if you go against villains. Anybody posting trials, go and show them who's victim. Defend you until the lies, eat my donuts for dinner. And the fruit of all my strides, throw a mine in the blender for you. And I really, really, really want to represent the set. To do so, had to do a do with death. Catch me tick-tock dancing with the devil out of breath. Catch me when I'm slipping fast off a precipice and stress and rest.
Wow. Beautiful. So yeah, that one, I love that song. Like it's like such a departure from what we heard before. Felt celebratory, which I was excited about making that type of song. And yeah, it's nice too. It was a nice collaboration between DA and I. He played flute on that, and did you play anything else? I think that was it, huh? Yeah, we were in like the boroughs of Pasadena. Just no rhyme or reason for existence anymore. We were just sweaty and like shirts off every day, just making music, like a lot of music, a lot of beautiful sounds came out of that time together, that time of uncertainty too. And that song too, you know, I made that song right around when my dad passed away too. And so I learned the valuable place that music has in my heart as well too, which is not so much distraction as much as, you know, just like refuge, I guess is a good way to put it. You know, I needed to go somewhere because the grief was just too much. I couldn't even touch it yet musically. And part of what will segue into the next track I'll play, which, you know, I kind of got to the boss level of like mourning, which was, making music about what happened in my life in terms of losing my dad. But with Constellations, yeah, that was such a fun song to make. And like, I brought up language earlier, and in the end of that, I'm singing Wichakwi Ishtapi, which means starry eyes in Lakota. And that was really cool to me, and just symbolically too. That was the last thing my dad and I, like, we were doing Lakota lessons every week before he passed, and so I was learning a lot of my language, which was really sweet. And so that was one of the last things we got to do before he passed away. And so I feel really good singing that song, kind of in his memory almost. And that was cool because I think from just a language standpoint and a cultural standpoint, and you know what matters to me most and why standpoint is like that song is just I kind of got to a next chapter of expression. I was like, that's native because I made that shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to even decode what is said, except if I'm at USC with the lovely students and faculty. But I don't need to. I don't need to say anything more than just speaking my language and like singing it in a new way, in a new fastened way and stuff like that. And that was a really interesting, exciting thing for me to do because I know, you know, traditional Lakota songs and I know contemporary non-native songs, but to put them together was something really exciting for me. And they'll all have Lakotas in the audience who sing along. I'll have Navajos in the audience who don't know Lakota who sing along. And I'll have all different walks of life singing along. And that, to me, is so cool. Like, oh my God, we're like keeping this language alive and keeping my dad alive and keeping the culture alive. And that was really cool to me. So that was a great chapter in my artistry and my music. And even this flute, this aspect of the flute, which is like a beautiful instrument that so many tribes and cultures use throughout the world. And I think within the U.S., it's kind of put into a box of like native and indigenous culture. And that was one of the rules Sterling Harjo gave me, the showrunner of Reservation Dogs. He's like, no flute on the score. Like, we will not use flute. Like, we don't want to settle for what's expected of like native and indigenous music and sound. We ended up using a lot of flute and we use it kind of sarcastically in that way, which also DA played so much of. And so, yeah, that was a really exciting thing because of that. We're playing it like jazzy and like with like this like kind of like bossa nova aspect to it, which was really cool to me to be able to kind of like pick that apart within that song. So that song was really important to me, and which will segue into the last little section, and then we'll have a little time for Q&As or whatever. So yeah, that album came out in 2021. It's called Pleasure. That's available everywhere, and that was really cool because, you know, that kind of led me into my Reservation Dogs era. So I was making the scores and stuff like that, and but there was this like pestilent thing. It was like something's not right, and it was my inability to talk about my dad, talk about the grief. That really like harrowing grief. I'd never lost, you know, someone that close in my life. I lost a lot of people in my life, but that was, you know, you lose a parent and you become an orphan in a way, right? And so I just didn't have the literacy and the emotional readiness to tackle that. And then slowly, just through the like sludge of like writing and listening to myself. I got to a point of like what matters to me most and why, once again, which was telling that truth and that honesty. And so I'm gonna play two songs, the first two songs off of my forthcoming album that are not out yet, so don't leak it to anybody. But yeah, so, and then we'll kind of get into what we'll talk about lastly. But yeah, this is off of my new album called Stank Face Standing Soldier. So here y'all go.
My voice ain't very good, but I'll try my best.
We lost so much, it hurts to touch how much I still love the future in us. It was never just a crush, and I'll never make you rush, 'cause I still live in the first time I made you blush. It was the last time I wasn't enough. I'll dig up those old letters if it's so. I've fallen for how you've grown. The city gets itty bitty when taking flights. Polka dot lights, flicking top shots, nice. Reminds me of my Midwest dreams. Writing cursive in my jet streams. The work has never been 50-50, it's been on more. From the jump and duck on these focus for a rock. And that's big old facts, I spit out. Really got me tiptoeing maps. I've been on my shit since a kiddo. Ride around inside my mind, riddle with video. Strapped in a mighty fine journey, gotta reaffirm that. Smile lines earned and burned into my face. More relaxed, ready to walk on a cheap grill, so I don't relax. Palm trees still give me chills, posted in the gash. In the cut, like a turning cut strut. My love is just us. Overthinking all try not to, but it's fucking tough. What can I say? Faces I say, blood being brave. Hate how it stains, rust on my ego while drains is uncovering things about me, bludgeoning pain and rushing to touch some fame, but feeling fuzzy today as the city winds under my wings. Feeling fuzzy today as the city winds under my wings. Time to show what you've learned during times that you were all alone in your head. Make the walls and take your friends. You will always have a friend in me. Time to show what you learned during times that you were all alone in your head. Make the walls and take your friends. Yeah, friends. You will always have a friend in me. I spent 1,000 on some wings just to float around and think. Yeah, forward to the first class on me. It's on me, it's on me. I spent 1,000 on some wings just to float around and think. Forward to the first class on me. It's on me, it's on me. This ain't a bus, same as none. Bet that I made it so famous and plush. Ain't no bus, range was tough. Fuck around with it, my way was a bus. Lambs always gonna say what they always gonna say. Doesn't pay to talk, always talks to pay. I lock my whole face. 10 toes down so deep from nosebleeds to front stage, from no sleep to tally sheep on Valley and Street Odyssey. Born in the USA, but feel foreign like I am babe. All of my family feather and tar, from wearing the feathers and mending the scars. You know I'm better than all of them are. It's all indebted to who was before. Keep eyes on my folks, keep eyes on my team. Dig deep in my blood, take it slow, you might choke. Chunk of change in my soul, graduated to paychecks. I do more and I say less, they move so fast. I spent 1,000 on some wings, just to float around and think. Fall into the first class, it's on me, it's on me, it's on me. I spent 1,000 on some wings, just to float around and think. Fall into the first class, it's on me, it's on me, it's on me. Hey lover, don't leave me undercover, don't BCC another, I'm needy for you all day long. Hey lover, don't leave me undercover, don't BCC another, I'm needy for you all day long. Hey lover, don't leave me undercover, don't BCC another, I'm needy for you all day long. Needy for you, 'cause what I've been through.
Yeah, it's a new record, a little bit of it. Part of what I found out too, I think, with this recent project that this recent album, is I oftentimes inadvertently make music with a question in mind, and once I make the music, it kind of answers itself a little bit. And so with the first record, Part-Time Indian, which we listened to, how do I come to terms with this mixed identity? You know, what does it mean to me? What does it mean to the greater good of the Lakota people, and you know, all this stuff, and I got to answer that through its release and through how I felt about it. And then, you know, with Pleasure, I think it was like, how do I come to terms with romance and loss and breakup and, you know, sensuality, all these different things, and that was answered. And then with this record, it was a lot of like, how did I deal with my dad's passing? And so a little like, I guess spoiler is like a lot of the record just kind of it's wading through these different aspects of what my process was, I guess, with like coming to terms with losing someone like that, right? And so the music was a little bit of a exploration of that and a little bit of a dissection. And so, yeah, those songs, that's my dad's voice in the beginning. So you hear his little like, here, I'll play it one more time.
My voice ain't very good, but I'll try my best.
I love that because like when he was recording, I have audio of him talking, and he's like, I want to talk to you about this traditional Lakota songs. And hopefully my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, they listen to this and they know it. But then he breaks character. He's like, my voice ain't very good, but and I was like, oh, that's such a human component. I was like, I love that. But yeah, so through, you know, a lot of this music that I've made in the past 5 to 6 years, 7 years, yeah, that's kind of what I got to. It was like, what matters to me most is just telling the truth, being honest about where I'm at, because I'm not doing a service to myself or who sacrificed for me to be here today if I'm being facetious in any way or not living an honest truth. I have the privilege of honesty within my music, and the discomfort that comes with that, I'm okay with. Like, I want to explore that. I want to dig deeper into that. I think that's what makes us human. And so, yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Are there any questions or anything? Okay.
Hey. Oh, wait. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. So I was gonna say it was much better than the 5 minutes we were gonna give you on the Bovard stage. This was the time and the space that I think we truly needed to really hear from you and get quite a bit into your story. So we have about 5 minutes left, and so if there's 1 or 2 questions in the audience, we can take those. But right before we do that, I wanted to do 2 different plugs before a couple of my colleagues take off. One, you can hear this music live at the Moroccan Lounge on Monday night. And that's right here in downtown LA. And we have the flyer at the back if you want to take a picture, buy your tickets, and get to hear this live. Perhaps there will be a flute in person. I don't know. But get excited. And so additionally, just because Dilla Goodwill is in the audience, and we have the Hollywood Powwow coming up in a couple of weeks, and she is USC's very own head woman, but she's going to be head woman of that powwow. And so I hope everyone will also go out to Hollywood for that dance. And yeah, that's Dylan back there. She also advises our Native American Student Assembly, and so that's one of our all-stars as well. So let's go ahead and take one or two questions. What are y'all thinking, or what do you have for Mato today?
Hi Mato, Robin. So fun hearing from you. Now, I'm always curious about, you're from South Dakota. What does your family think about where you are and what your journey has been?
They've been supportive, I'd say overall. They've been very supportive. They haven't always known what I'm doing, like literally and, artistically. And I've spoken to a lot of different artists that can, and I'm sure everyone in here who makes art can kind of commiserate with this as well. It's like sometimes when family doesn't have like a tangible thing to like point to, sometimes it's hard for them to understand what you're doing. Cause like, so what are you doing exactly? Well, I make music. For what and why? Like, it's like, what? I just like it. And so that was a lot of my career up until like 2 years ago. And so I couldn't really point to anything. And so now I think like with the, I guess with some of the like accolades and things that are easy to point to, they're really like, oh, that's what you do. Like, okay. But yeah, they've been really supportive. I make, this is like cute to say, but I have, since my nieces and nephew, like for the past couple of years, or like 7 years, I think, I make them like little birthday songs. And so, yeah, they do have like a literacy rate for what I do. I just think it was hard for them to like point to specifically what I do. So yeah, it's been cool. In the past year or two, I think it's been articulated more in terms of some of the stuff I've been doing, and yeah, so. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. So what I was hearing a little bit from your story was this process of integrating all these different aspects of your identity, your history, your generational history, traumas, genocidal traumas. And I guess what I'm curious to hear more about is just, if you talk about honesty and truth as this avenues of integrating all of these and bringing this forth from everything that has happened, that you're going through and that you're processing. And I guess what advice do you have in terms of, resonating with other people, either through your music or your communities, in terms of facilitating this healing process of being cognizant and aware of everything that has happened, while still somehow being able to move forward, right? Working forward together. And you have these kind of contradictory dichotomies that are all in force and all pressures in your life that kind of bred a lot of internal pressure in you. And so, just curious a little bit more about your avenues of expression that allow you to externalize, release some of those pressures and create kind of these wonderful, beautiful meanings of that kind of. I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah.
Really.
I think you kind of answered your own question in a way. Like, I think, I like your Crocs too, those are cool. There you go. That's a good question. I think like, I didn't set out with like the mission statement of like, I'm going to heal through my art. But I think there's been a lot of moments in the past years where I've found myself kind of in this position of seeing what tools I have at my behest to bring to other people and to create like a healing component. Like I literally like in Alaska a few months ago, I was there and we did like a seminars or a workshop, Art Through Healing. And it was literally with like the birch bark and the salmon and the like the Gwich'in tribes up there in Alaska and like the native folks up there. It's literally called Art Through Healing. How do we reconcile with climate change? This was kind of the whole idea of it. So we made music about it and it was so fucking cool. Like Yo-Yo Ma pulled through and he did his thing. And so it was a really like, that was a nice moment for me, because I was like, okay, I'm doing something right if we're finding these moments of healing. Because like you said, in terms of the history that I've gone through, in terms of with my grandfather in the Holocaust, and then just a lot of my native family and stuff like that, I think there was so much to unpack, but also a lot to like celebrate, you know? And I think I've never been someone to, I've never been someone to see my emotional and spiritual well-being as anything that's dispensable, because I've wanted to preserve that. And through preserving that, I think comes the way of like healing and justice and collective liberation and things like that. And it's such a good question that we could unpack later. But yeah, like I think those are a little bit of the starting points for me. Because I would just see, you know, I'd go on tours or I play shows to a lot of folks who don't have representation on stage a lot, you know, and like I'm someone who they could see. And it was really cool because I get off stage and we'd all have this kind of alleviation. And like, I think they were really proud of me, and I'm proud of them too, because it's this kind of like symbiotic relationships that artists have with their fans. Like, you know, they get something from seeing me on stage, and I get something from seeing them in the audience, losing themselves and feeling represented. You know, like you wouldn't be here without me, I wouldn't be here without you, that type of thing. And I felt such a liberating moment within that. And you know, even within the time that we're in now, you know, just with everything that's going on, I felt such an impetus to like keep my head focused on what the most meaningful art, the most meaningful expression I can make for communities, and you know, hopefully that can extend to different parts of, you know, what we're all going through in this fight that we're going through, you know. And so yeah, that's to answer your question a little bit, I guess. It's kind of yeah.
All right, well, that was great. Well, on behalf of the Office of Religious and Spiritual Life, welcome home. This was your spot. He and I would be setting up the fishbowl for all sorts of events that NASU was hosting, and so it's just great that we got to bring you back. And so just a small token of thanks from your Trojan family, so you can continue to consider what matters to you and why. Give it up for Mato.